Hold up.
Our objectives are as followed: to develop an understanding of the role of race in athletics, specifically in collegiate sport, and even more specifically within Springfield College. To highlight perspectives and experiences of current Black Springfield College student athletes in an effort to shed light on the position of race within a predominantly white institution. To honor our Black student body at Springfield College through personal and professional reflection. And to use our professional, scientific, and social responsibility to educate the general public on the respect for people's rights, dignity, and concern for others' welfare.
I'm Kathleen Milano. I'm a faculty member in the Exercise Science and Athletic Training department. And this is my first year at Springfield, so I'm still learning some stuff about Springfield, and I'm still getting acquainted with our student body and the athletic community. And this is a great way for me to learn about y'all and hear from you all too. So Adam, want to give a wave?
Hey everybody, my name is Coach Adam Feit, and I serve on the senior staff of our strength conditioning department at Springfield College. This is my 7th year at Springfield, as I was a former student athlete graduating in the early 2000s, and I am now finishing my PhD in sport and exercise psychology. So I appreciate the opportunity to be here and share this space with you.
I'm Isaiah Cashwell-Dell. I'm a student athlete at Springfield College, incoming junior, major psychology. That's all I got. Gabby?
Gabby Bradley. I'm a rising junior and also the psychology department. I play for the women's volleyball team here at Springfield.
I'm Chris Ram, a rising senior, and I play on the track and field team. I run on the track and field team.
It's been a while, right? We haven't been out there.
Yeah, what I do.
All right. Adam, do you want to kick us off with a couple questions and then I'll take over in a minute?
Yeah, that'd be great. And so I'm interested, right, in typical Springfield College fashion, right? We really aim for this aspect of deep health, right? So we've got our spirit, we've got our mind, we've got our body, and a lot has happened. I know I haven't seen any of you on campus, since before spring break, and a lot of announcements have been updated and things are changing, in terms of return to play, in terms of return to campus. So the question I have is, maybe Gabby, if we could start with you, how have you been taking care of your spirit, mind, and body, right? How have you been able to take care of the health on all facets of how you're living? And, how are you dealing with everything that's happening?
I think definitely mind has faltered a bit just kind of over the course of the last few months, but in terms of physical, still trying to work out and be as active as possible, going from a weight room with my team 3 times a week to a home gym with a treadmill. So been trying to definitely figure that out and make it work. But I think that the mentals definitely struggle as far as being at home, being away from my friends, being away from the campus I actually love to be on. And then with everything that's going on with COVID-19 and then the protests and a lot of stuff's been going on. But I think there's taking a step back and thinking about it and having conversations with my friends about what's going on in their lives and keeping up with my friends and things like that have been a little bit of a boost for my mental. I'm relatively extroverted depending on the day, so just being in contact with people has been really helping me a lot with my mental stability. But other than that, I've been doing pretty all right. And this last week or so has been really cool. I moved, so this is the first 2 days I've been in my new house. So got a lot of stuff going on, but definitely trying to balance it all and make it all feel comfortable. So
I think I've been okay. I mean, it's definitely been difficult. I live in Philly, so there was a lot of I live in the northeast section. Most of the protests were happening downtown, so my area was just a lot of looting. So I just hear helicopters and police sirens all day. For recently, and that has been frustrating. And seeing the stuff on TV, I remember when Omar Jimenez got arrested on camera for CNN. My mom started crying and giving me the police talk that I got when I was younger again, how to be with the police and just to make sure that I don't I don't do anything for them to kill me. And that's tough conversations. And as far as working out, that's kind of why I was late, because I just got back. I don't have anything at home to work out, so I just I find the nearest hill. I think we had a hill workout today, so I did those, and go to the track. And yeah.
I'm doing well. I was thankful to get a job as a nurse, which was really surprising. But as at a VA hospital, the week we got back from school, maybe 2 weeks after, and I work in the dementia side, and working with them every day is great for my mental, because they're really not able to do much of anything. So I'm able to help them every day, and I'm gifted to help my parents with rent. So mentally, I'm stable. With the whole stuff going on, I don't know, it's tough, but I feel like it's not new. Like, it's just, there's cameras now. That's all. Like Chris said, my mom had that little talk to me about the cops, and that's probably the 5th time she's had it. So it's more aggravating of what's going on right now. But I wouldn't say that's affecting me, because I've seen it, lived it. People just have cameras now, so therefore it seems much bigger. And physically, I don't have any workout stuff, so I try to hit the field every day. I do little workouts with my dad and stuff. I try to make it a game, but competitive at the same time. But that's pretty much it. The job's keeping me real. It's keeping me stable, which is allowing me to work out and allowing me to be happy throughout this time.
And I think we all kind of have a decent understanding of why we're here, why we're having this conversation, and why we're doing it now. And like you said, it's been going on, but it seems like right now people are trying to listen and people are trying to understand, and that's kind of the goal. And one of the things that we've heard a lot, and it seems like it's come up much more as time has progressed, but this concept of countering Black Lives Matter with All Lives Matter, right? And so I think that maybe at this point we have an understanding of what we mean, what is meant by the statement Black Lives Matter, but I'm curious to hear how it affects you, or how you feel when someone brings up the argument All Lives Matter.
All lives don't matter until Black Lives Matter. Simple as that.
Absolutely.
I mean, everyone knows all lives matter, but Black people take up 13% of the world, and there was 100 less deaths last year than white people. We were the second, white people was the first, because white people have 80% of the United States, and Black people are 13%, and therefore, why are we in second place? And therefore, it just makes me upset, to be honest, when people say all lives matter, because everyone knows that all lives do matter, but Black lives are being devalued not all the time, but a majority of the time. Today, I held the door for this lady, and she told me to never do it again. And she was about 45, 50, and she was just upset that I held the door for her. Just baffled. So yeah, all lives do matter, but Black lives really should be valued a lot more. That's what I have to say on it.
I'm a daughter of a retired law enforcement officer. My dad worked for Homeland Security for about 27 years. When I hear All Lives Matter, I do get very agitated, but as much as I do want to say Blue lives are a part of it, Blue Lives Matter bothers me probably even more than All Lives Matter does. Blue, as far as it comes from law enforcement, that's a uniform. They take it off every evening before they go to bed. They take off that uniform. You can't take off Black. You're Black all day. You wake up, you go to bed, you're Black. I strongly dislike hearing that part, because it's a part of your life. It's not your identity. If I walk into a store, the first thing they notice is that I'm a Black woman. If I walk into the store and I happen to be an officer, but I'm not in uniform that day, they don't know that I'm an officer. That's not a part of my everyday identity. So like I definitely get agitated when I hear things like that, where they're like, oh, well, if these lives matter, then why don't these matter? And I'm like, they do, because they're people, but it's not like they don't wake up every morning already wearing that uniform. They have to put it on. It's a profession. It's not an identity. I also I agree with Isaiah as everybody else. All lives matter can't be a thing until Black Lives Matter. When people think it's a political issue, it's not a political issue. It's a human. It's human. It's a human problem. It's not a political issue. So I feel like people try to blanket all lives matter over it to try to like make it seem like they're in it and they want to be for Black people and they want to be a part of the movement. But all lives matter, in my opinion, just contradicts it. Like, you can definitely say all lives matter and somehow believe that Black lives matter, but you have to say Black lives matter to get the points across. All lives matter is a blanket, I feel like, to try to divert from like flat-footedly saying like Black lives matter. I don't know. I kind of have a different perspective just because like I have grown up with a dad who's been an officer, and if I feel like seeing it in the law enforcement system is even worse. Like I said, I lived in Florida. My dad was the resident agent in charge for our town, and I had been on a trip with him once, and we went to a county over, which just happened to be pretty much 97% white and just a very kind of country town. We got there and officers and sheriffs won't shake his hand, won't look him in the eyes, won't answer his questions directly. Like he has to go through a white officer to ask this question to a white officer from his sector, who can ask that white officer from the other sheriff's department his question to get an answer. Like certain things like that, like blue lives matter, sure, but the Black lives in the blue lives don't matter. So figure it out where the line is. Where's it going to intersect? I feel like that's like my biggest thing about it all is like I want to be able to say, oh yeah, blue lives matter because my dad is and was a part of the blue lives, but it's not true. It's not an identity. It's a uniform. And it's definitely hard to verbalize that sometimes to people, but it's what I feel. So, yeah.
Thanks, Deb.
I think in terms of blue lives matter. If you say blue lives matter, I think that the issue was never really Black. The issue was never the word Black. The issue was never all lives matter. The issue was with the word Black. If you're saying blue lives matter, so that's just ridiculous. That point, but all lives matter and Black lives matter. I think it's really simple. And the people who choose not to understand it, this whole experience for me, like if I see it on social media, I've been telling people like I've become, very friendly and familiar with my unfollow, block, delete. All those buttons have been overused this entire break because if I see anything even remotely close to that kind of language, you don't need to be in my social media sphere or in my circle at all. When we think about Paris, when Paris was under attack, and everyone was changing their profile pics to pray for Paris. Imagine if I just came out of nowhere and said, pray for America. That would be insensitive and ridiculous for me to say. Black people are under siege and under attack and have been under attack in America for 400 years. So until we aren't under attack, it's always going to be Black Lives Matter. Of course, all lives matter. But we have to focus on this group of Americans because they have been disproportionately targeted since our country's existence. So I don't think it's a hard concept to understand. It's just whether or not you choose to understand it.
Right, and do y'all think that people are understanding it more?
I like to believe they are, but I mean, it really just, I really don't know. It's hard to find out how genuine people are, especially when you can't see them physically. Like conversations I've been having over the phone, over text, over video chat, and like I don't know how to really, like I'm trying to figure out how to separate people who are actually being genuine and trying to help than those who are saying it in order to fit in and not be yelled at or told that they don't like like, I feel like they're doing it to not get called out for it at this point too, because you have social media and everything's spreading so much, and so much faster. I feel like a lot of it, I'm having trouble just like differentiating between people who are posting it just to be able to say they posted it, or saying it just to be able to say they said it, and those who are actually gonna go out and do what they said they're gonna do. So I like to think that people are believing and understanding and trying to be better, but there's like no honest way for me to tell, if I'm being honest.
I think oh, my bad.
You can go, Chris. Go, Chris.
I was gonna say, I think also it's like it's affecting like the protests and everything are beginning to affect white people. So they're being like forced to understand, whether it be their businesses being destroyed, their leagues losing money, whatever the case may be. This is kind of the perfect storm. I guess it's kind of a bad thing to say, but perfect storm of things to happen for the world to take notice. I think that's why people have been good, and also it looks good right now. Like, it looks good for you to say Black. It's very easy for you to support. It's very easy for like Roger Goodell to say, you know, Kaepernick should have a job right now. Like, this is the easiest time for you to ever be able to say that. So like Gabby was saying, it's a combination of people who are capitalizing on the moment and people who, you know, are actually understanding. So to answer your question, I'm not sure. But I think more people are trying to than ever before, I guess.
I'm the same. I don't know. There's not really much to say more. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, I guess.
I want to believe people are, but like some people, they're oblivious to what we go through on like, I know if I walked I'm in a suburban town. If I walk in a store with a t-shirt on and some baggy pants just because I don't have a belt, I could possibly get kicked out, or they're just staring at me the whole time. So I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Do you think one possibility for knowing is maybe time and change in behavior and actions, and maybe hopefully fewer microaggressions is one thing that will tell us if we are understanding it more? Or do y'all think will be the indicator for you?
I think I don't know how I would see it, but I think the indicator would be like, I think that the issue is like people need to have conversations within their own circles, because privileged people listen to privileged people. So if it's me and a bunch of guys on the team and someone's being super sexist and I say something, they're gonna listen to me because they're gonna be like, you know, this is like, I'm not a woman, so like I'm not trying to push any agenda or anything like that. So for me to continue to tell you about my plight, about my struggle, and you not believe me, you're just gonna continue to think I'm race baiting or continue to think I'm pushing an agenda. But for you to go into your circle and someone says something that might just be slightly racist, and you say, you know what, that's not okay for you to say. And if that's really your friend, that person will accept that and, you know, try to move forward, or it's maybe not really your friend. So I think there's no way to see that, but I think that's where it needs to go. People need to begin to do that, and that's how we'll know.
Sure. Thank y'all for that. That's probably the most direct question we have regarding, you know, current events and what's going on in the history of you know, inequality and discrimination and all that. So I'm going to let Adam kind of segue into the next point that kind of surrounds maybe what's going on a little bit, but more about how you're dealing with and interpreting some things.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Milano. I'm curious to hear, with especially the increase in awareness and all the events happening lately, have any of you felt these moments of maybe happiness or pride, whether that's with these conversations being done, or Gabby, you had alluded to like people reaching out, and you know, there obviously can be some different interpretations as we learn more, but maybe are there any silver linings? Are there any gold linings? Are there any moments of joy and happiness that have come into your lives throughout the last couple of weeks? Could anybody, if there are any, maybe speak to that?
I mean, yeah,
I got a car.
yeah, yeah. I mean,
Celebrate
yeah,
the win, man. That's a bright spot, right?
yeah. I don't.
But without this whole situation going, I don't think I personally, I'm not happy or excited.
Right.
Like I said, this has been going on forever. We just have cameras. The news people are trying to make more money. We're about to pop out. Yeah, no, I'll be happy when like the world, like when I can see the world like gets what it's like, and I don't have to like be looked at all weird for having a nice BMW and stuff. Like, I don't know. Happy. I don't know.
Yeah, I was never given a pat on the back for like getting good grades by my parents. I was told I was what I was supposed to do. Like Gabby said, this is a human rights issue, and white people are 400 years too late. So for me to be happy that you know what I mean, like for me to be like ecstatic that you're finally recognizing me to be a human being is ridiculous. Obviously, I'm thankful, but I wouldn't really say I'm happy. I would say I'm thankful, not really happy.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Like, it's not really like a happy time, like sitting having conversations with my team or with my friends about what's going on. Like, it's not like it's not like I'm happy to stand on a soapbox and be like, listen to me because this is what's going on. But like, I guess like I agree with Chris. Like, I am like thankful that these things are happening. So like these conversations are happening and that I can talk to people about this. But it's never like a proud moment when I like talk about what's going on and how it affects me. Like, it's not a fun time, but I mean, like, I don't wake up angry every day, but I'm definitely not walking around with this like humongous smile on my face because everything's just super great. But it's not like everything sucks. It's just kind of are right now, and you gotta do what you gotta do and say what you have to say for people to understand, but not really like super too much happy stuff going on, I guess.
Yeah. No, and I appreciate that. And, maybe happy was not the most optimal word or label to describe a situation or an emotion, but I think it's important to give perspective in terms of what's being said, how it's being reviewed, how it's being received, and with the responsibilities that we all have as humans to find some sort of progress, right? And if that eludes some sort of emotion or if that elicits some sort of feeling, that should be celebrated. So I do appreciate your honesty, especially on that. And I know Dr. Milano's got this idea, maybe to talk about how race and sport may be intertwined. So I'll go ahead and send it back to you.
Yeah, so let's get down to that. Race and sport. Y'all think they're intertwined?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So I want to know your perspective on how the two are related and the role of race in sport at every level or any level that you choose to speak of. And just, maybe the role that race has played in how you're coached or opportunities that you've had or not had or anything of that nature. Gabby, it looks like you're winding up to answer. Do you want to try it out?
Well, when I think about like race and sport and how it's like intertwined, I immediately think of like the NFL, the NBA. Like, the NFL is like what, 80% of their players are Black, 70% of the NBA, or it's flipped or something like that. But it's the massive amount of athletes in our national programs that are African American. If I'm thinking about it, if there were no Black people, would we really have the NBA? Like, would we have the NFL? Like, what kind of, like, we would really knock the system over if there were no Black athletes. I feel like they were like, sports would not be as big of a thing. And that's just how I think about it, like, sometimes. But like, I definitely think that for Chris or for Isaiah, like the stereotype of the Black athletes that they're fast, they're quick, they're just naturally athletic. So their respective sports have a higher percentage of Black athletes. I play volleyball, and I've always been one or two Black people on a team. From the moment I started playing, it's been almost 10 years. that I've been playing the sport, and I've never been on a team with more than 3 Black girls at one time. And I like sometimes I wake up, I look, and I'm like, I don't know if like when are there gonna be more? I don't know. Are there gonna be more? I don't know. But for right now, it's me and 2 people maximum. So like when I think about it, I definitely think about the fact that there are some sports that you might not classify as like a sport that Black people play. And I'm like, volleyball is one of those, but I play it, so here we are. But I definitely think that it's been it's affected how I've been coached a little bit. Just because like I've always been thought to like get it from the jump, like the whole naturally athletic thing, like you're assumed to just kind of be able to get in there and do your thing and know what's going on. And I'm not gonna lie, the first 2 years I played volleyball, it was disgusting. It was atrocious because I had no idea what I was doing. But like from the first moment I stepped on the court, it was like they were teaching me the basics from the beginning. They assumed that I know how to jump high and like assume that I know what to do and when and how to be fast and when to move. Like I had to learn. And I feel like sometimes it's not like a learning experience. They assume you to kind of know, like from the beginning, to try to know off the bat what to do. So like that's affected me, I guess, before, but yeah, I don't know. I just feel like if there were like it's just the way that I think about it sometimes. But that's just me.
I think that's a unique perspective though, because like you said, you are 1 to 3 Black people on your team, and that's how it's been from the time you've committed to that sport. So that does give you a unique perspective that should be highlighted. You know, there's probably a ton more people in your shoes that aren't here. They're like, yes, that's me, right? So other folks, Isaiah, do you have a stance?
Yeah, no, race and sports is huge. Ever since I was young, like Gabby said, like I'm just expected to be mad fast all the time. I'm expected, like coaches coach me harder because they think of I'm supposed to be up here, and then I'll make a mistake, and next thing you know, I'm down here. And say like for instance, this year I was benched for I have no clue actually, but just had 3 good games. Coach even said to my face, we have a running back come back and I'm benched, just benched. And then I was told that I messed up a few plays in practice. And so I just got pretty much benched for like 2 games straight, didn't really play. Even in high school, like if I messed up, like, you're out quick. And if I'm running too slow, like I'm called slow now. People like I'll run fast and maybe I like sprain my ankle. So like for a few plays, I'm just a little slower, and the coaches or people out there like, oh, he's trash. Like, come on, you gotta get him out of here. Like, what is he doing? Like, he's supposed to be blah, 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 blah. And no, it's huge. And like Gabby said, like NFL sports before Black people were dumb born. I'd be watching the highlights like, oh my God, like what was going on? And basketball. And then along with that, I wanted to play hockey when I was young. I really wanted to play hockey. My parents said, nah, that's not a Black person's sport. Like, you can't play hockey. And I was like, like, wow, it goes like that. I don't know, you kind of see it from a young age. Like, I've been in suburban schools all my life. I was in the MECO system, so I was in suburban schools all my life. And I think one time I hit a half-court shot in, like, middle school. Everyone was like, you're going to the league. You're going pro. And, like, they were saying that the rest of my life. Like, bro, remember you made that shot? Like, you're going to go pro. And I'm like, bro, what are you talking about? Like, I could have, my sister probably could have made it. Like, I don't know, you see it from a young age all the time. Chris, you got it. That's just it's funny.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think that like even with like coaching, like race and like gender and sport too, like it's like it's like those shared lived experiences, so you can relate to someone, and they intertwine their lived experiences into how they coach. I had one Black GA my freshman year. His name's Sho. I still talk to him weekly. He used to take us out. He was on the call. I said he used to with a few of the black athletes, he would take us out on like Sundays. He used to always tell us, just keep between us, and we would just hang out and just talk, and it would just be honest conversation about all the same things that we go through. So it's like you compare it to like gender. Like when I look at the WNBA, you see like a man, you see like Gino Auriemma coaching like UConn. It's like that doesn't make any sense to me. Like it shouldn't, you know what I mean? Like it shouldn't be a man. You know what I mean? Like it shouldn't be like so many, because you don't see like a bunch of women coaching, like men's sports. And until we get to that point, it should be that way. But just like sharing those lived experiences is important in coaching. And that like even like on the track team, I mean, track is more of an individual sport naturally, but since my freshman year, like even when we walk into practice, there's like it's like D squad, like distance is like right here, which is always all white. Like I don't think our cross country team at Springfield College or distance team at Springfield College history has had a black person. That would be some investigative reporting I should do. But then it'll be like some of the sprinters, and then it'll be like, then the wall ends, and then it's like me, Eric, like me and the other black kids, like the two other black kids, X and E. And it just happened naturally because we run in the pack when we're warming up, we warm up together. And then even Joe, when this kid Joe was here, he used to be with us. That's another thing. It's like understanding. The thing about Springfield too is that a lot of the people at Springfield that I've noticed, because it's not like I came to Springfield, it was the first time I've been around white people. This is the first time I've been around white people who have never been around people who don't look like them.
Oh my God.
All these people really have not been around. Like you could tell, like the way they look at us is from like the news and like how the media has shaped us and stuff like that. Like, I was talking to this girl on our team from Vermont, and she was like, "Yeah, I think I had like one." And I think I had like three, and they were like triplets or something. And I was like, "Oh wow." But yeah, so that explains a lot of the reasoning, because like one of the kids, Joe, who was a white kid, he had grown up around black people, so he knew how to, like, he could fit in with us because he wasn't saying things like, "Oh, do you listen to this person?" or "Oh, you're Jamaican, so do you do this?" or "You're from Africa, is your house made of clay?" or like, do you hunt lions?" Like, stupid stuff like that, like microaggressions. You know what I mean?
I've been asked if I was Jamaican so many times.
Yeah, like dumb stuff.
And I am, so I say yes, and they're like, I thought so. And I'm like, okay, whatever.
I am too, so it's like, yeah, it's just stuff like
not.
that.
So when I say no, they go, "Wait, what? Like, what are you?" And I'm like, "Half black, half Indian." They're like, "No way." I'm like, "Oh God."
Yeah, and that's why
I completely agree.
Yeah, that's why race really matters. I think if you if you talk to like any other athletes, they'll all tell you like, for a minute, like we want representation in our coaches, and it seemed to from any sport. I was just on FaceTime with AJ the other day, who was just telling me the same thing. Like, I think we're supposed. He said, "I think we're supposed to have one this year, but I'm not sure." So it matters because you have a different kind of bond with that person.
It's like having a black teacher, like in school. Like I can probably count on one hand the amount of like actual black teachers I've had growing up, like through school. And it's a junior in college now at this point. I've had one. I have had one black teacher in my entire life, and I feel like it's like Chris said, it's experience, a shared experience that you have with that person. It's not like having a white coach is like it's a bad thing, but it's having a connection already off the bat, and like being able to understand that person from a different perspective. And like I can definitely agree with the Springfield, the people like going to school with people who have never seen a black person or have never been close friends with a black person. Like I've always grown up in a predominantly white area, but I've always been put in schools where there's at least a decent population of black kids. It's not like I'm going to be one in a class of 700, but I graduated from high school in a class of 864, and there were 12 black people, and I counted in my yearbook because I was bored. I wanted to know. There are 12. And it's stuff like that. Like you don't really think about it, but then you look at it, you're like, wow, that's crazy. That a couple of my teammates from Long Island, I talked to one of them, one of our freshmen from this last year, and she was like, yeah, like my area is like all white. Like I did not really have like many close black friends. And I'm like, wow, like that's weird, like, to think about, like, where you live, are there, like, no Black people around? Like, it's the visual. Like, you got to think about stuff like that. It's weird. And, like, Springfield, like, it's obviously not, it's not a Springfield problem, but, like, I was at a game one day, and I'm playing the game. My parents show up, and like I said before, it's usually only me on the team, Black person. So my parents walk in wearing Springfield volleyball, you know which kid they belong to. Like, people already is just kind of like, oh, yep, that's her parents. And there was a couple sitting next to my parents. My mom told me this story a couple times. They're watching the game, and they look at my dad, and they were like, they should recruit her a friend. And my dad's like, what? He's like, she should have a friend. Like, they should recruit someone else. Like, and my dad's like, she has 14 friends. What do you mean, recruit her a friend? Like, she has 14 friends right there. And the guy's like, not getting it. He literally says, no, I mean, like, they should recruit another Black girl so she's not alone. My dad's like, that's not a problem. Like, that's not the issue. Like, I don't know why you thought like that, because I didn't even think about the fact that at that point, I didn't think about the fact that I was the only Black person on the team. I didn't really care. But, like, it's the fact that people do think about that. The first thing they see a Black person on the team, they're like, there should be another one. Like, she shouldn't be alone. Like, it's weird. Like, microaggressions happen frequently. But that was just a weird one that I really definitely thought. I was like, whose parents were those? I was like, I need to know.
Being the only Black person on the offense is 11 people on the field, 22, and there's usually, since the teams we play, there's probably like 3 Black people max on the field, max. So then when I get tackled, I'm like, yo, what's up? Like, what you up to? Like, what's the word? Like, let's do something. Like, I don't even know.
Staying on the end line before a game is it's when we're playing one team that has like 4 of them, and I'm looking over there, and we're like, make eye contact. We're like, I see you, you see me. Like, hello. It's like not even friends, but I'm like, I'll talk to you later. Like, catch you after the game. We'll have a convo. But it's like being excited to see someone else that's Black. Like, I don't know. Like, I don't know why I get hyped, but I do. Like, when I see someone on another team, like I said before with the whole volleyball thing, like, not a lot of Black girls play the sport. So I'm like, when I see another Black girl on the team that I'm playing, I'm like, oh, look, another. So it's just, right, what are you doing here? But yeah, it's definitely a weird experience. You don't really think about it all firsthand. You think sports, you don't automatically think race, but it definitely does play a part sometimes.
Subtle thought. Like, there were times when I was on the field and I'd take a look and I'm like, damn, like, my girl would be like, which one are you? And I'm like, the only Black one. like, I don't know. It's a subtle thought. Like, so it don't get you upset, but it's like, dang, like I wish there was one more. I don't know. So I get you, Chris, how you and your teammates, like, y'all separated, and it's not like you wanted to separate, but like y'all just get along. Like, y'all have the same, I don't know, characteristics. That's like me and my little football teammates. Like, we get to lunch, and sometimes Black people I just get along with them better at the time. Like, we have more to talk about at lunch. We listen to the same music, talk about the same stuff. We hang together. Our parents are the same. Like, I don't know. So to answer y'all question, I don't even know what the question was anymore.
Hey, that's what we wanted out of this. This is great. Y'all are doing great. It was just about the connection between it. I think y'all hit, you basically said, yeah, they're related. Yeah, they're connected. And I think that's it. We all know it. We all see it. We hear it, and we're hearing it from y'all again. And you brought up a few really tangible examples, which were really interesting to hear about. So thanks for sharing that. That was actually my next question, is if there has ever been a time that really sticks out to you. I doubt it's possible that it was positive, but positive or negative, when you felt like race was central to a sports story that you have. And Gabby, you shared one that your dad experienced and you experienced via your dad and your parents. And so that's kind of what I was, I wasn't expecting something like that, but that's in my question. That's kind of what I'm getting at. And it can be positive or negative. So if y'all have any,
I have
you'd be willing to share. Yeah.
And So I went to my sophomore and junior year of high school. I went to a private school, and so my first day pulling up, everyone got Benzes. Their mom just brought them a new Jeep. So I was already the oddball out because I had to take the bus. So I mean, like, there was only 3 of us on the bus. So we get to the sports, and I'm the only black kid on the team. Only black kid on the team. So that was just a little off. And so the running back at the time, I was basically coming for his spot because he was there since sophomore year. He had been a senior, and I was the incoming sophomore. And so he basically was like, his words were, "You don't belong here, and you're never going to play here." I took it as I'm bad at football. I didn't even want to think about race. I'm like, So I answered like, "Yeah, you're right. I don't belong here. I'm not that good." And he was like, "No, like, think about it. Like, look around. Like, you don't belong here." And I was like, wow, you're about to lose your spot. Like, that off rip, I'm like, you're losing your spot now. Long story short, he lost his spot. But, like, I don't know, we always had kind of, me and him always had beef because he was just so subtle and so just set on, like, me not being at that school. And, like, it didn't matter to me at the time because that wasn't the first instance where I wasn't wanted in a certain place. So it was more just like, I'm there to play football and go to school, and you're just background noise. That was my crazy experience. First day. It was, no, not the second week. It was the first day. He made fun of my bus. Man, that bus was smooth. 75 cents. Come on now. Get out of here.
Like, I think definitely it's never, I don't really think it's ever really been a positive point out as far as race goes with sport. I feel like whenever I've experienced it, it's been a negative, but I've gotten a little bit better about being vocal about it. I used to not, I don't like conflict. So whenever I would experience something, I wouldn't say anything because I don't want to start anything. I'm not that person. So growing up, like, my mom's been the one to see it, and she'll be like, okay, wait, no, that's not okay. And I'm like, I know it's not okay, but I don't really have the energy to talk about it right now. But I remember my freshman year of high school, I was living in Florida, and we had an indoor and we had beach season for volleyball. We indoor and sand. And let me just tell you, black people don't play sand. It's too hot. I'm already brown. I don't need to be black. Like, it's like a lot. It's a lot. So there are already not a lot of black people playing sand volleyball in Florida. This is the one team I had 4 black girls on. Me, 2 other black girls, and one, she was like, she was mixed. She was her black and Asian, I believe. And our coach puts us with pairs for our partners for the season. All 4 of us partners together. And then we get to our first, like, sand tournament, and it's like 4 sand courts lined up the yard, and we got everyone playing each other, and she had the 4 of us playing an inter squad match on the end court by ourselves. My mom was livid. I don't know when she even noticed it because I didn't even think about it at the time, but my mom was hot. Like, look, she walked into the field to come watch the game. We'd already started, and she had to walk to the very end with the other 4 sets of black parents that were walking down there, and she was angry that we were in the back in the shade by ourselves on one court. I didn't even think about it, but I got in the car and I was like, wait, you're right. We did play an inter-squad match, just the 4 of us by ourselves. Like, at the time, Coach probably wasn't thinking about it when she did it, or maybe she was, I don't know. But it's like the small things that, like, and my mom went to my coach. She was like, do you realize you have the 4 black children back there alone? And Angie was like, I did not even realize I did that. They're over here for the next match, so if you want to move your chairs, come over here. But it was just the fact that it was like the 4 sets of black parents and their children were in the far left corner court by themselves, that set my mom off, which was kind of crazy. But I think I played club one year and we were doing really well, and I had played really well the first 3 matches of the weekend, and this one game I just didn't touch the court like at all. And it was third set, and it was like maybe 5 points to the end of the match. And my coach said, "Hey, Gabby, go in." And I was like, okay, like I get to play finally. So I wasn't even mad about it. I was like, okay, cool, I'll go. But my mom has a very internally working brain. She thinks about a lot of stuff all the time. And I was the only Black person on this team, haven't played all match. He puts me in, it's like 24-20 or something, and we're down. And he puts me in. We end up winning the game. I killed like 3 balls in a row. We won the match because we were behind 4 points. He tried to put me in right then. My mom's like, "I'm proud of you for doing well, but why did he put you in when he needed to be brought back from the end, when he could have had you in the rest, like the whole match?" I was like, "I don't know. That's not my job to make a lineup. I have no idea." And it ended up being that he did have a lot of underlying things and issues with Black people. My mom and him had a very, very loud dispute in the convention center, so that was fun. But like, it's small stuff that you don't really notice, and then when you acknowledge it, then it becomes a bigger issue. But it's never really been like a positive thing when it's been pointed out that I've been the only Black person. But it's definitely been interesting, like getting paired up with groups. Like with Chris said, it's sometimes it's involuntary. Like you walk into a room and you're like, oh, there are more Black people over there. I'm gonna kind of sort of already flock towards them because I can relate to them a little bit more and be a little bit more friendly. But like I've been grouped with all the Black people before, just kind of put all of us in a group and just put them over here because that way they'll all be together, but they're not like alone, but they're together, like that kind of thing. Like at HP, they're like, oh, all the positions over here, and then all the hitters are spread out, and then they say, okay, the 5 of you are a group, the 5 of you are a group, and you look around, you're like, well, it's just us. How y'all doing? Like, here we are. But it's definitely been interesting. It's gotten a lot better, I think, but it's definitely happened a lot where it's like not equal in terms of grouping or decision making and things like that. But
yeah, I don't think I've had any like explicit racist things happen to me like within sport. Like I'm a writer, and I think if that would have happened to me, I would have been on CNN, Washington Post. I would have wrote some crazy article if somebody ever, like if something happened like Gabby said, I would have wrote something crazy. I don't even know. Like if that happened, I would have wrote something crazy. But in high school, like I was mostly running against Black people at Black coaches, so it wasn't. I never really had anything like that. But I think kind of things that Isaiah and Gabby touched on is like being Black or a person of color or a woman or in a marginalized group. I think when you get into certain spaces or like when you're not played in a game or when you're not hired for a job, there's like an internal conflict of where you ask yourself, like, did I not get this because I'm Black? Did I not get this because I'm a woman? Did I not get this because I'm gay? Whatever the case may be. Or when you do get put in the game or when you do get an opportunity, when you do get put on the team, did I only get this opportunity because I'm all these things? And then when you get that opportunity, you try super, super hard to prove that you belong. Sometimes you mess up because you're overcompensating or whatever the case may be. But it's kind of that internal conflict of being a person in a marginalized group, especially being a Black person.
Chris, if I could build on that, and I appreciate you sharing that. I want to do a little bit, I know we're limited on time, but maybe a 2-part question for all of you. The first one, I'd like to get your first impression or phrase or word that comes to your mind when you hear the statement or phrase from a coach or a teammate that says, I don't see color.
Yeah, I think it's like, I think when you say you don't, I think most people who say they don't see color have like good intent. Like I said, like microaggressions aren't like inherently bad. Like they are like people don't always have like malintent, you know what I mean? And we all make mistakes. So I think when someone says like I don't see color, I think I would just in turn be like that's offensive. Like if you don't see color, like you don't see me, and that's just a stupid thing to say. Like obviously you see my color, like like what the hell? Like obviously, like how can you not see my color? Like that's just a stupid thing to say. But I know like you saying that was like someone who says they don't see color is like literally trying not to be racist. And I understand that. So I think it's just about saying like, that's a microaggression, and by not seeing my color, you're like dismissing my plight and the oppression that comes with my color. So that's just like my response, because I've heard that before all the time.
Right. Gabby, Isaiah, what about you? First thing that comes to your mind when you hear that?
I definitely agree. Like when I hear it, the first thing I say is you have to. Like, I agree with Chris. Like if you don't acknowledge the fact that a person of color has difficulties or shortcomings because of their color or because of the whatever their group might be, because they're a woman, because they're gay, because of anything, if you're like, I don't see color, you have to see color in order to make a decision that's not going to come off as racist or make it like say something that doesn't come off as sexist. Like you have to acknowledge the fact that that person or that group experiences the things they experience, or you're basically like discounting pretty much every experience they have as it relates to their group. I think you have to see color in order to change the problem. It's always done in good intent. Like they're always like, I don't see color in hopes of leveling the field. I don't see color. Everyone's a person. A person's a person. I completely agree with that. But you have to acknowledge the fact that people of color or certain marginalized groups like have these experiences that they have, and they have you just have to acknowledge that their experience and that their path of life is different than yours. So I think you have to see color in order to be better, honestly.
Yeah. I'm more like dang, this is go out. What Chris what Chris said, like, if someone's saying that, like, they're just trying not to be racist. Like, and if you're not gonna, like, I'd rather you just not even say it, like, to be honest, because you just saying, like, I don't see color. In my head, I'm like, all right, you see my color, you just don't understand what I'm going through, so therefore you're gonna say I don't see color. It's a very vague statement. Like, I feel like when a Black person or just any minorities say they don't see color, I truly believe, like, they just don't see color because they're already looked at different. So when they're looking at someone else, they're just like, like, actually, no, I'm gonna rephrase that. Everyone sees color. Everyone sees color. Because when I see a white person, I automatically think that's money. They got some type of money. I don't know where it's at, who has it, but they got money. And then when I see a Black person in like a Benz, my sister got a Benz. I'm like, all right, what'd you do to get that Benz? I'm just like everyone, like, how you got that Benz? Like, you selling drugs? Like, what's the word? Like, what are you doing right now? Like, how you got the money? Like, I don't know. I think everyone sees color. Just some people just don't know the experiences that the person's going through. It's as simple as that. So that statement's very vague. I don't really believe that statement because it's
in that regard too. I feel like they're like trying to not, like, they don't want to take, like, sometimes they don't want to take the extra step to understand. Like they might just want to say, like, I don't see color, in hopes of diffusing the conversation and being done with it. So I feel like in order to really get past anything or any problems that we might have, like, you have to acknowledge the fact that there is a difference between the people, or it just kind of comes off as like you're dismissing the conversation, dismissing the issues that are so absolutely prominent and the conversations that absolutely have to be had. So that's how I see that. Isaiah's thing made me remember that.
And to build on this one more time, so the second part of this is, you know, the idea of microaggressions have come up a lot, and I appreciate Chris for bringing that up, because a lot of people aren't aware of that, right? The subtle digs, the sometimes unintentional ways of talking or communicating, especially as teammates. So my question would be, what advice might you have for teammates and the coaches that you do work with and spend time with and play with and build relationships with? What are some of those microaggressions that have cut you deeper than anybody could imagine? And if you could give advice, if you could recommend something, does anything immediately stand out to you?
I think at Springfield, so I mean, a bunch of times I've heard from teammates like things like, so when people are angry, that's when they show you who they are. So I remember I was talking to someone about a class, and they were like, "Oh, this class, like this class, this teacher is so hard, yada yada yada." I was like, "Bro, the class is not that hard. Like I got an A in this class. Like this is all you got to do." Before I could even get that out, he was like, "You only got an A in that class because you're a minority, because you're Black, and you know that whole that whole nine. That frustrates you. That's that whole thing of like, I literally, you know what I mean, have to be so much better than someone for them to believe that I'm actually good. So yeah, so I think in terms of Springfield, you just have to be around people. Like you have to hire people. Like I said in the thing last night, I don't know if you're there, but you have to hire people not for the aesthetic, but hire people and then understand that when you hire those people, they're not just going to be in the room to look cute for the pictures and to just be there so that you can check off a box, but like they're going to be in there to make you uncomfortable and to have challenging conversations. I think white people always talk about like these conversations are uncomfortable, yada, 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 especially if you're an athlete. Like we never get better in positions of comfort. Like we get better when we're back against the wall, third rep, you got one more rep, you got to hit this time. That's when you get better. So it's the same thing in this, you know, approach it like a game. Put these people in positions and give them the and let them know that they're not in the room to bite their tongue. They're in the room to challenge power structures, institution, the leadership. And I mean, that's what I'm kind of doing with student trustee too. But an advice is to be conscious about where you recruit. I'm not familiar with like the neighborhoods of Springfield or where coaches recruit. I know like Longmeadow is largely white. So like if, for example, if you're always recruiting in Longmeadow and you have a relationship with the coach, you know this program, they remind you of themselves, of yourself when you were younger, that you're obviously going to get the same kind of people, the same kind of white people. Navigate into these other places. Look in your own city. You know, go down the street to Central and recruit and see what a lot of the barrier for Black and brown folks is the price tag of Springfield. But you know, being in these places is important. So just being conscious about who you recruit, being conscious about who you hire and who you interview as well. If you're just interviewing a guy who you already know is going to get the job, and then you try to put like a Black person there to make it seem like you're giving someone an opportunity. So I think that's my advice, to learn about. Not only do you have to read and watch and listen, but in order to listen, you have to be around the people who experience these things so they can tell you so you can know and you can experience it. And that goes into recruiting. And I think that's where we struggle at school if you look at our teams and our coaching staff. Sorry for the long answer again.
Don't be, man. Don't be. People need to hear that. And the people that we hope are listening will internalize that and do something about it. So thank you for sharing that. Isaiah, Gabby, anything to add? You know, the teammates that I think it was brought up about trying to be well-mannered, trying to say the right thing, and they maybe fumble over their words or their intentions. Anything that you can offer? Or
I think it has
questions.
What Chris said, like recruiting kind of deeper in the city. Like, yes, it's probably the school will probably look better if they get someone from Longmeadow whose dad makes 100,000, mom makes 150,000. The kid has a 3.5 GPA. Like they're just an average person. And I think going into the city, like for me, I'm thankful. I had a 2.0 GPA coming in, a 2.0, but my SATs was a 1,300. So therefore, I don't think they thought I was stupid. So they gave me an opportunity. And I don't try to act any different. People call it hood. Yes, I act hood all the time. In classroom, like with coaches, I'm always say, "What's good, dog?" Like to my head coach, that's who I am. And he has accepted me, which I'm thankful for. But now I have a 3.8. So my 3.8 coming from a 2 is making the school look a whole lot better than that person whose parents are rich and has that 3.5. So I think our school needs to just dig deeper. Players and people need to try harder. Like literally just try to understand. Just try. Like that's all. Some people are just oblivious or they don't want to. And then they hang around people who don't want to, and that therefore that just causes conflict when they run into a Black person. But just try. Like it's crazy because I've been in situations at school where someone's like, "You need to fix your attitude." My attitude is fine. I'm the person I want to be, and you recruited me, and the school has accepted me for who I am, not for you to try to change me, change my study habits, which I'm thankful for because I'm really trying to get a master's degree, but that's besides the fact. But like, still, like, I don't know, people just need to try harder, like, see where I come from. I come from where I heard, oh, I'm in the suburbs now, but I heard gunshots a whole bunch. Seen my sister get shot, her boyfriend get shot, my brother's in jail. Like, so there's no time for just happy-go-lucky. I'm gonna just be me all the time, and if you don't like it, that's not my problem. The problem is you're not trying to understand where I came from, how I got here, and how I'm the person I am today. Simple as that. So what Chris said, like, kind of digging deeper to the inner city, not even inner city, but just neighborhoods where you don't think that person would get in, but I'm a prime example. I have a 3.8 now. Would have thought I would have had 3. I threw a party when I saw that. God dang, crazy, dog. You got it, Gabby. You got it.
I definitely agree. Like, I feel like you gotta go into the places where you're not comfortable. Like, you have to go outside your comfort zone. That goes for a lot of things in life, but that definitely goes for recruiting. I feel like going outside of like the nearest location. Like, our team, honestly, from our class, we got Arizona, we got Texas, we got North Carolina, we got me from Virginia. We pretty much, coach said, all right, one from here, and like expanded her recruiting places, her locations, her tournaments. She went pretty much anywhere. But I just think you gotta understand who you're getting, and take the time to get to know who you're getting. That goes for my team, that goes for teammates, goes for coaches, professors, anything. Like, get to know the people you're around, and that'll make you better once you understand like what they go through or what they experience on a daily basis, and get higher than a surface level relationship with people of color or people you wouldn't normally talk to. Like, you have to get deeper to make any kind of progress. Like, if you go surface level your entire life, you'll never get to know that person, then you'll never really understand like where they come from or what they know and how they go about life. But if you go like deeper, like, it goes for people getting to know you. We're saying, like, you're, like Isaiah said, like, your attitude sucks. It's like, well, my attitude is how I am, so figure it out or go. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Either get with it or get out. So you just try to get a chance to like get to know the person and really understand like what they contribute and what they bring to the table, instead of just kind of checking off a box and saying, yep, this is this, I got a quota to fill kind of thing. You just got to get to know the person.
To add to that too, my bad, Gabby. I don't think white people notice that black people try like really hard to impress white people. Like, even if we don't even think that we're trying to, like, we're trying to impress. Like, I remember there'd be times where I'm just trying to switch up my tone and the way I act or the way I dress to impress, to not be that stereotype. And it took me until college to realize that I'm so black and I'm so happy. It is so fun to be black. Well, minus this whole situation right now, but this is amazing. I love it. I'm sorry. Okay, Gabby, go crazy.
I think, hold on. I wanted to add to that too. It's also about like making sure your space is comfortable for the people to be in. Because like at school, my class, I don't know what they did. I remember we brought in like like so many black people and they all left. they weren't comfortable. We weren't prepared to give them a good Springfield College experience. And like Isaiah was saying too, like, of course, you know, black people, we do like the way I'm talking right now, I don't talk when I'm with my black friends. I do this because you know, everyone has a code switch to some degree, but I think black people naturally, like, we have to assimilate to white culture or risk not being successful or risk being tagged that stereotype. So that's just all I wanted to add. But you go ahead, Gabby.
Oh yeah, for sure. I just feel like there's definitely a switch for anything, whether it be your phone call voice. When you get a phone call from somewhere professional, you got to sound professional, you got to look professional the way you dress, you got to go places, you got to uphold yourself a certain way, walk into a room with a certain kind of, like, I don't even know what the energy is, but you got to put it off. You got to be that kind, like, got to put off the kind of energy that feels welcoming, because I feel like obviously the stereotype is that, like, they're like black people like aren't I don't know, like they don't present themselves well. Like, I don't know what it is, but like there's just a cold switch that you have to have, like that you, no matter whether or not people were like, oh, I'm not trying to impress anybody, I'm not trying to be that person. But like Isaiah said, like Black people are always trying to impress and show the fact that they can be there and express like that they have what it takes to be a part of whatever group or whatever thing it is. No matter if you say you're not trying to or not, like it just happens. You are trying to impress, like you're trying to impress everyone, even yourself. You ever say like, yep, I belong here. But I definitely agree with Chris. I gotta make this space comfortable for conversations to be had or for people to express themselves. Like that's a really common phrase, be yourself, express yourself. But if you don't feel comfortable to do that, then you can't. Like, you have to make this space comfortable for everyone to be able to feel like they can express themselves and still be seen as someone who's presented well in public, or someone who like acts appropriately in a certain situation. Like, you have to make that a comfortable position for someone to be able to be themselves and be true to themselves, for sure.
Last one. I know you be doing this on a daily, so like, but this talk, it made this, now I can, when you coach fight, when you said happy, now I feel happy. There's like a new aura of energy that I feel like I have. Not even for getting my voice out. It's more from talking and experiencing. Because I work at a nursing place where this talk is, it's not doing too much. And I'm not going to bring it up because I still want to get paid. So talking like this made me happy. Now I might go downstairs and maybe I'll cook some food. Low, but like still, like I appreciate y'all for even setting this up.
Yeah, I absolutely do. I agree. I really appreciate having conversations like this, and like this last week there have been so many of them, whether it be like that I've been a part of or that I just witnessed. But like I just think that the act of having these conversations is so helpful. And I agree. Honestly, I've been kind of hype all day. I'm like, I get to have a conversation about this with people who actually want to listen. Like, that's dope. Like, there's some people who say they want to have the conversation, then don't, like, they let it go in one ear, then it just at the end of the conversation. So I just feel really happy that people are actually trying to like listen and understand. So I've been kind of hype all day about getting on this call and talking about it with people that I know like are gonna be real. Like, Chris and Isaiah are not trying to showboat for anybody. They're trying to say what they're going to say and be done with it. Like it's having conversations with people who just want to get it out there, like, that are so nice. So I really do appreciate having these conversations with y'all. Our coach says embrace the hard. And I think that that's something that I've really been thinking about a lot through this too, though, is like, people are like, oh, I want this, like, no matter what, like, protests aside, COVID-19 aside, nothing is going to be normal after all this is over, and that's just how it is. But like, you have to embrace hard. And I have people saying like, oh, like, I can't wait for life to go back to normal, I can't wait for everything to blow over and be normal again. Like, you have to embrace the stuff that's happening right now in order to make anything better in the future. And as far as I know, like, there's nothing I can like stand and say like, this is how you can make it better and this is how you can change it, this is what you can change. Like, it's all internal. And basically, if you make the change, then that's you making the decision to be different. So like, it's not really like, people are like, oh, like, what can we do to be different? What kind of strategies can we take to be better? And like, what can Springfield College do to be better? Like, I mean, there's nothing we can pass, like a rule or something. Like, I'm not gonna, like, there's nothing really structurally that you can like really do quickly to change the problem immediately. Like, it's all gonna happen in a progression. So like, the fact that conversations are happening now and people are trying to actively change the way that they've been acting or behaving or going about their life, like, that's really great. And it's a matter of like what you do in your personal life with your friends, your personal groups, your families, the conversations you have in your house, and taking those out into like the public.
I think a lot of times however we want to slice it, athletes, coaches, administrators, people, humans, we look for like the greatest thing, and we paralyze ourselves with the next, like, without doing the next thing. And so what I've learned, and it's been reinforced, is that something is to have that discussion, right, Gabby? Like, the way I talk to my kids, you know, and I'll going to protests in town, like talking with our team and talking with our coaches and changing how curriculum is done, maybe in some of the classes. And so, yeah, those might be overarching goals and objectives, but if we don't worry about the next thing, we'll never get to that big thing. So I think it's important, and you've helped reinforce, from what I could tell, of start and keep moving and don't stop, because if we have wherever we want to go, we're not going to get there if we don't start doing something.
First of all, we're so happy that y'all could be here. This has been so great for us to be a part of, and I hope that there's been an ounce of it that you've enjoyed, even just a little bit. But we're so grateful that you said yes, and I hope that that we're willing to always sit here and listen and hear what you need and try our best to implement it. So I appreciate y'all being willing to share.
Thanks, but the thanks go to you. And from a coaching pedestal or platform, Isaiah, wherever people like me stand, it's the lessons and it's the experiences through our student athletes that we truly grow. And I know I can't speak for every coach out there, but I will speak for the ones that truly want to make a difference and truly want to understand and are willing to put their money where their mouth is and make that change. And you have given us, the community, the athletic department, the academic department, this opportunity to make that happen. And so I'm committed to that. And I just want to say thank you to you. And I appreciate you opening up and being vulnerable to the lessons and experiences that in my life, as much as I've tried to understand, I can't, but I'm going to do everything I can. So thanks.